this is my favorite whiskey out of the many that we have tried.
But since you haven't been here before, I'll just kind of tell you a little. I mean, I could put history in a nutshell for the practical purposes. We're the oldest continuously operating distillery in the entire country. And on the property here, we've actually been distilling as a distillery since 1786. Now, before that, I'm not going to say there wasn't a pot still property. I think there was. But this was actually a little settlement called Leestown. And it was founded by a couple of brothers, Willis and Hancock Lee, in 1775. That's when they got deeded the property. But these guys were just traditional surveyors, frontiersmen. But the cool thing about it is they made their way here following a buffalo trail. That is not fictional. That is for real. Central Kentucky is inundated with buffalo trails. So a guy by the name Daniel Swigert owned the Leestown distillery, and he wanted to get rid of it. So he put it up for sale, $6,000. That was Colonel E.H. Taylor's foot into the bourbon industry. He bought it, he turned around, he put $70,000 into this site. He literally built the country's most state-of-the-art distillery that we had anywhere. It had copper-lined fermenters, stills, multiple warehouses. This is one. The visitor center was one from 1881. Did you do a good job, clearly? That one was from 1885. It was probably a joint venture between he and Stagg. We're still doing what it did since the day it opened the store, aging bourbon. He had state-of-the-art grain equipment on the property, and he started steam heating his warehouses. Those big pipes you see floating around, those carry steam. You come here about Halloween, all the windows are going to be shut, the steam's going to turn on. The reason we do that is because he figured out that if you let barrels stay in an environment over an extended period of time, it's less than 40 degrees, it quit aging. So he bought himself an aging cycle. And we still do what he did today, steam heat the warehouses.
And George, with that sugar, and it creates almost a sap. It's almost like a self-sealing in many capacities.
Okay.
So the barrel, in some cases, will just seal itself.
Do you all chart your own barrels to make
We
sure?
do not. We get all of our barrels from a place called Cumberland Cooperage in East Bernstadt. Actually, Sazerac has just recently bought Robinson Stave, and George is on the property. We have this kind, which is vertical aging. It's got the slits, and they go all the way up. So the airflow in this building is in a vertical direction. So it minimizes moisture, probably 15, 18 degree difference on the top. We also have lateral aging, and those are the ones that have those concrete vertical and horizontal strips. I've been told they were started, because you'll see other distilleries with them, they were made that way to encompass a fire, because the whole building wouldn't burn up, because the ceiling and the floor are concrete, so you encompass that. But for us, it also helps because this is another way of aging different.
It's old fire copper. Copper is associated with quality in the bourbon industry because what copper does is it neutralizes the sulfites in the bourbon and it causes it to taste better. So the message the guy is sending to his consumers is that, not only am I going to make you a bunch more bourbon, but it's going to be of utmost quality. This also gets him in trouble because what you find is he's doing this at 6 other distilleries. So he spreads his money too thin, and it doesn't help that we had a huge economic downturn in 1873. So while this downturn is occurring, he's slowly selling off his barrels to George T. Stagg. So by 1878, George T. Stagg owns the place. The two guys worked together for just a very short few years. What you find out is they had two totally different business models. Taylor wants quality at the cost of literally everything he's got. He's shown me that. Stagg just wants to make more bourbon and make a lot of money. He also realizes that Taylor name is very important. There's court battles ensuing. He starts out as president. He makes Taylor his vice president. That didn't work out very well. So this battle goes on until 1886, and they part ways forever. And Taylor goes on. He gets a little money from Stagg to start his own distillery. It's now Castle and King.
Okay.
And he gets involved in politics. He becomes a mayor of Frankfurt. He helps to pass the Baldwin Bond Act. He is a legislator. We in turn become the Stagg Distillery in 1904. And we remain the Stagg Distillery until Sazerac buys us in 1992. Now, while all this is going on, we literally hire Albert Blanton. He's living across the street, a little farm, not little, but it's called Rock Hill Farm. We hire him, he's 16, he comes in here as an office boy, and he stays 55 years. By 1921, he has elevated himself to president. That should matter. That's the beginning of Prohibition. He clearly realizes that is not something you go alone. So he gets into a relationship with a company called Shinley, who comes in and buys the distillery, but they never get the name changed. We're still the Stagg Distillery. And they're just a big spirit conglomerate, much like the Sazeracs and the Diageos and people like that are today. And they had a bit of a government connection. So they enabled this distillery to get a medicinal license. So we make it through Prohibition just selling medicinal whiskey. And so for us in Kentucky, it was all good. Because you go to your doctor, your dentist, your vet, you get a prescription for a pint of 100 proof whiskey, 2 refills every 2 days.
Yeah. We need our medicine pretty often too. So
we all could have rolled up here and got your medicine. But
really hurt.
this state, like Tennessee, is very populated at that time, but maybe less than 1 million people. But in a 10-year span, over 6 million prescriptions are written for medicinal alcohol.
A lot of pain.
Right, a lot of pandemic. So distilleries are actually made out during a pandemic, and you also use the hand sanitizer to provide it. Well, in World War II, my guess is you drank more, but we were making industrial alcohol here, and that's extremely high proof alcohol that you didn't drink. You made synthetic rubber with it. So that connected this distillery with things like the jeep industry, tire making, bomb making, machinery. We made so much industrial alcohol at this distillery, the federal government bought the dry house that we still use today. They have 4 50-foot, 10 feet in diameter tumbler dryers in it. We're only now expanding that. It was so big in 1942.
You guys still make that kind of stuff, like the industrial alcohol?
We do not, because it's now made in Tulsa.
Okay.
Basically, they just converted. The need was so large during the war that they were able to convert our stills over to do that.
Kind of like, I guess, what people did with sanitizing now.
Exactly. And then we have vodka make it on the property, so you just, you change the still out so it can get the proof up to 190 instead of 140. After this is over, Albert Blanton's going to retire, and he does so in 1953, but by then, guess who we've hired? Elmer Teeley. Elmer rolls in here after the war. He's a graduate of UK in chemical engineering. He stays until 1985. He retires that year, and our first master distiller. But that really is only the second big thing this guy did. Pretty sharp. This is his train station. So this is a train depot, and through here was what they called the Bourbon Line. It was the Frankfurt-Cincinnati Railroad, and it would drop off barrels and people and coal and whatever. It was also, I think, used maybe by Jim Beam down the road. I think maybe whatever will. And then those are the lateral aging warehouses in the back where they have the concrete floors and ceilings. That is those. This is like the monorail for alcohol. It's going from processing to our big bottling hall. And the alcohol has to flow above your head. It's taxed. You can't put them in the ground. So everything above your head is probably water, steam, and alcohol.
Really?
That's all that is.
So, is Harlan planning any more experimenting with other spirits? I know vodkas, kind of. This is the second round with vodka, right? Because Click was the first,
Well, we did
and then Wheatley.
Wheatley vodka, which is very, very good.
Yeah.
Click was. Sazerac has several vodkas.
Okay.
Rums. Tequila too. Corazon tequila.
Oh yeah.
Bottle.
Ooh, another unicorn that I've never seen in my lifetime.
So the second ship's in the renamed a little bit. This is the bourbon, this is the alcohol of the day. And this.
Ooh, pallets of that stuff.
So there's this, and that's what
Ooh, that single barrel right there.
Oh my God.
Anybody got a box cutter?
Well, that's in. Better have a good idea. So this thing right here, if they were filling, would be changing. So this is a real moment telling you barrels filled. So, yeah. And what's really cool is these barrel heads represent our millionth barrels over time. And yeah, I am a math teacher, but in this case, numbers really tell you a story about from 81 to 2008.
Wow.
What was that? It's when you're drinking those demons.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
When we should have been in bourbon.
Should
We
be
could have
drinking bourbon.
we could have stocked
We
up.
weren't drinking bourbon, so that's the bourbon law. And then you hit back to what?
10 years?
Now this is the catch. That barrel has only been in there 3 years. We fill around 200,000 barrels a year. The projection is maybe next year we hit 8 million.